Here.
Mr. Babalani?
Here.
Dr. Hayes?
Here.
Mr. Menegini?
Here.
Mr. Pop?
Here.
Approval of the minutes for the regular meeting of May 2nd. Does anybody have any corrections or additions? And for the special meeting of May 12th.
I make a motion to accept the minutes of the regular meeting of May 2nd, 2016, and special meeting of May 12th, 2016.
Support.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Approval of manifest 2016-9 in the amount of $532,349.37. Anybody have any corrections or additions or questions? Mr. Menegini?
Page 2, just about down on the bottom of the general fund there, Standard Electric Company, water fountain replacement. Where was that, Ray? And was it a damaged thing or $434? Third item from the bottom.
Yeah, it's probably Strawberry Lake.
Oh, Strawberry, okay.
I'll have to double check, but I think that's what it was at.
Okay. Page 3, I know they always split up the the cold patch with major and local here, and I see you got it here, but the one under major streets, Payne and Dolan, 10.63 ton, 418.12, and then under the local streets, Payne and Dolan, 10.63 ton, cold patch, $836.
We separate those on a 1/3, 2/3 basis.
Oh, 1/3 and 2/3, okay.
Yeah, based
okay.
on the mileage we have for major and local.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I just wanted to make sure. And then on page 4, under capital projects there, second thing down, Tillman Wholesale Growers Tree Planting Program, 51 trees. Are these all that the city bought, or how many should I say were bought by individuals?
Most of them are actually city bought. Mary, do you remember what the number was? I'd have to go look at the list. We probably only sold about 10 to 12 trees.
Okay, every year it seems to be getting less and
It's
less.
getting
that
less and less,
The
yeah,
people are
absolutely.
actually purchasing. But still, even for the $140, I bought one this year. It's a heck of a tree for that price. That's all.
Mr. Babalani, any questions?
Yeah, I got a couple, Doc. On page 3, Ray, Downtown Development Authority Professional Services Coleman Engineering for the MIR, there's 1134 and 1782 wetland permit.
Yeah, that's for the parking lot that we're trying to work on, to get a permit.
Where's
We
the
got an
parking lot
application.
going in?
Well, that was the proposal to buy the property from Mr. Carollo, and the DDA wouldn't purchase the property unless we had a permit in hand. So they agreed to file application for permit.
I thought that Carollo was gonna try to get the permit, and then if he got the permit, rather than us spending $2,900 on trying to get the permit, I thought he was gonna get the permit, and then we were gonna buy it.
Yeah,
We're
that's,
interested in buying it.
we didn't actually say that was the agreement. I mean, but what the problem we have is Mr. Carollo would have trouble getting that permit. So we thought that working with the DEQ on behalf of the city would have a better chance of getting the permit.
I think that he should pay this, because we may be putting that money up front for a permit that we're not gonna get, and when we don't even own the property, that he should agree to pay this permit cost, and if we get the permit.
Yeah, at this point, I think the DDA decided to go ahead with that part of it because he wouldn't agree to pay for the permit, and they wanted to still pursue purchasing the property.
I don't agree with that. I think that, I think we probably wasted $3 grand right there. If he wanted to sell the property, he should go for that, at least pay for it. That's all I got.
Ms. Brew? Any questions?
My question's on page 5 of 8, under the electric department. New AED unit. I was wondering what that is, and it says something about batteries? for
Yeah,
what?
well, we have one AED unit in the electric department, and we really need to have two, one for the hydro and one uptown.
What's
for
the
the trucks.
AED?
That's the defibrillator.
Oh, okay,
Yep, and then the current one we have, the battery is out of date,
okay.
so we need to get a new
And
battery.
we're required by law to have that, aren't we?
I'm not sure if it's required by law, but especially for the electric utility, working around energized systems, that's a very common, most of the units have AEDs in them. But we have one out at the golf course, now the golf course has it, and then we have one out here, because that's a good thing to have for the municipality.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's the only question.
Mr. Pop?
I'm good now. That's my answer, question.
I gotta ask one more thing, I'm sorry.
Question answered.
On 6 of 8, under electric, I see you got hydro rebuild number 2, and at the end of it, you say claim. Do you see that for the 6,196.13, 6,641.25? Is the insurance paying that? Is that why you put claim there?
That's why we put claim, that's getting submitted for the insurance.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I just wanted to ask.
I have no further questions. If not, anyone else has no further questions, we should make a motion.
I make a motion, we accept manifest 2016-09 in the amount of $532,349.37.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes,
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Anybody in the audience have any questions on any agenda item tonight or on the minutes or the manifest? If not, you'll have time at the end of the meeting on topics of any concern. First on the agenda is approval of the 2016-17 web-based GIS hosting for Coleman Engineering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If you remember a year and a half ago, council approved a contract with Coleman Engineering. For a number of years, we've been having Coleman host our web-based, Empower web-based system. And at that time, when we've been approving that for like $5,000 a year. And at that time then, both Wasita Township and Brighton Township requested to come on board with us as well. We took the proposals from both townships, and we approved the hosting for 3 years with the townships. Unfortunately, for what we've been doing with Coleman was for an annual basis. So what I asked them to do this year was we have starting January 1st of this year, we actually have a year and a half left in that agreement with the townships. So I wanted them to match up the hosting to go with what we have with the contracts with the township. So it's the same price per year, the $5,000 per year. So you see that it's actually, this particular contract was for 6 months. That's why it's at $11,100. So I'd like to be able to move forward.
For
sign
18
this.
months or
18 months, yeah.
6 months extra?
6 months extra, yes. This puts us in line with what the contracts that we currently have with both townships, and it also puts us in line with, been talking with Coleman about the possibility of hosting our own. At that point, Empower is getting close to where I think that we would be able to put it on our own system and be able to host our own. So that would eliminate this cost. Then we would work directly with Empower. But this, the rest of this contract time gives us time to get the bugs worked out in that system to be able to do that.
Are the townships getting a better deal on this than we are?
Well, I'm not sure if they're getting a better deal than we are. I know that we are actually paying less overall because, they're paying us, and, we're able to save money rather than not have them. So, I mean, if they went directly to Coleman, I don't think that they would be able to get it for this price. So I think they're saving money, but we're also saving more money by having them, on our system. So as you see, we're saving like $4,500 total in the agreements, to host them.
Anybody else have any questions? Any other discussion? Otherwise, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion, the 2016-17 Empower GIS web hosting proposal be approved by Coleman Engineering for a price not to exceed $11,100.
Support.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes. Next on the agenda is approved Sturgeon Falls Hydro Engineering change order through Simutech.
Yeah, this particular agenda item, if you remember, over the last 6 months, we've been working with first Norcan, and then we had Simutech come in, and then over the course of the winter and early spring, I had been working with Simutech on the structural analysis, the hydroflow analysis in the pit. And I gave you a copy of their final reports for your review. As you can see, they're pretty extensive. One of the areas that I thought was extremely interesting was how they looked at the fracture mechanics of the material that we have, as well as the pit design and the equipment design within our current configuration. All of this information is going to be extremely valuable in moving forward and in what we do with our work down in the hydro in the future. But when I look back, we had not had a second or a change order given to Simutech, and so that's what I'm asking tonight, for a change order to complete their work. The change order requested is for $29,350.
Well, it's a lot of money, but it's one heck of a report. I think we got our money's worth.
Yeah, when I first contacted the engineers, it was in January, actually it was late January, is just to, basically introduce myself, because Joe had been working with them pretty much exclusively from October through December. And, one of the things that I think that we both appreciated was this is some of the background that I have in fracture mechanics and in some of this area, and so we felt pretty comfortable between us, chatting about kind of where they were going with their evaluation and analysis to make it very useful. And I felt comfortable in talking with them because I could understand where they were coming from in some of their recommendations, and so I did appreciate their reports as you indicated. So
I take it that's the last of the bills and that
Yes.
the report is totally finalized.
the report is complete.
Do we need any other work to move forward then, or?
No.
Or do you think we're ready to proceed based on this report?
We are ready to proceed based on this report. The one thing this report does not do, and they were clear in going back and forth with them, they were clear that there is a final design, and when we go forward with replacing a runner or two, that the company that does the runner replacement will have design responsibility, additional design responsibility to take. This is more of a theoretical basis, and so there's an actual design basis that goes into play when they actually put the runner in place. So that's all going to be part of the contract that we're going to move forward. And I have been in contact with another company, gave you the quote that they had during our budget hearing, and feel pretty confident that they would definitely be able to handle that work and do a satisfactory job. So,
Based on this report then?
yeah, they're coming off of this report, and then putting the final, in-place construction design in place, for like a forging and material type. And they're going to do their own final evaluation, because if they're building it and responsible for it, they'll have some of their own design input into it.
So it sounds like we're gonna have to decrease efficiency on these runners in order to get a design that'll last, or to get materials
That's,
that will last.
well, there wasn't,
That was their suggestion in part of this report.
there was a suggestion in part of the report. However, a material type that is more rigid, that has more erosion capability, could be put in place. There's a couple different ways you engineer longevity into the system. There were a couple factors that we just couldn't, we couldn't live with. One was adding 3 feet to the tail, and we couldn't do that. We were fixed where our outlets are located, so they have to design around those fixed parameters.
And this report was done with the idea that this would be the charge ahead of time. This isn't a surprise.
It's not a total surprise that we didn't have a definitive number when we were going back and forth, but we knew that it was going to be, some additional cost.
I presume it's in the budget.
It is in the budget. We were able to take care of this.
Well, it sounds like it's all over our heads anyway. It's up to the engineers. That's why we need your expertise to recommend, and to recommend that we pay this bill without any.
Yeah, I recommend it because obviously I worked with them, and, I feel like we have received what we paid for, or going to pay for. It is something that we're going to use. It's about every part of this report we're going to use moving forward. Whether it be just the individual runner or a series of runners. You see that design goes all the way down through the shaft. So it's very helpful information as we move forward.
Would someone like to make a motion to approve this change order?
I'll make a motion that Semutech be approved to perform detailed computational flow analysis, structural infinite, I don't think it's infinite, elements analyst, not for a price not to exceed $29,350.
Support.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Next on the agenda, approval of professional engineering services, traffic count project.
Again, during budget hearing, I went through our road project planning, and as I indicated, 2 years ago, the city was placed by MDOT into a different category in their federal aid program. Under the federal aid program, historically, we had been in a classification, what they call rural task force. In the rural task force, they have a required, or a certain requirement necessary for classifying certain roadways based on travel patterns. And in that program, there were a few of our roads qualified, such as Kimberly Road, Main Street from the light up past the viaduct and then up the hill, and then 16th past Perney and out to the off Lower Pine Creek Road. Again, 2 years ago, they reclassified us into what they call a small urban. Typically, or before that, small urban was a community of 5,000 people or more. And for whatever reason, they decided that we were, or should be considered in the Dickinson County small urban setting. That's with Iron Mountain and Kingsford. And when they put us over, though, they did not provide us any additional road lengths in that program. This past year, I went through and looked at the criteria for qualifying roads, and I looked at the maps for Iron Mountain and Kingsford, and obviously noticed how many more roadways they had and how they were connected. And what I found out was that there's a different way of categorizing or qualifying these roads. One is access points to the school, and another is the business district. Under Rural Task Force, they don't account for those two areas. They just, basically, it's getting from a one collector or one roadway, major road to another, such as coming from US to down County Road and then through Norway back to US 2. So it's a different way of classifying it. So this past year, I petitioned to try and get some of our roadways in, and one of the requirements is that we do traffic counts, on these roads. So I did get some equipment from QPAD. However, because we were limited in our abilities to get the data and put the equipment out and work with it, I asked Coleman if they'd be able to give us a hand. And so they gave us a proposal for doing this. It does take somebody to go out, put them down, then collect them, bring them back, download the information and categorize it. So I thought that this was, what we did was we estimated how many trips they would have and how much work that would be. And based on that, we came to a not to exceed number of $2,100.
Is there any questions, Mr. Pop?
No.
So originally, when we did talk about this, we were gonna do this ourselves, right?
Well, I was gonna try and do this work, but, it takes putting it together, getting it out there, then downloading it and putting the report together. And I just think that timing-wise, we're challenged as it is with the work we got on our plate. So that's why I asked Coleman if they'd give me a number.
Okay.
And where are these gonna be put, Ray?
Okay, we're gonna try and classify Walnut from US 2 to the school, 4th Avenue, again, basically from the school all the way to US 8, Section Street, and we're actually gonna try and go past Section because we think we could possibly qualify it through Forest Drive. So we're gonna look at that. We are gonna put a counter up on 16th, where we talked about, and I'm missing any. Oh, Main Street south of the highway.
Do they know that they should have this stuff up there before school
Yes, we
gets
talked
out?
about
Because
the
otherwise we're
timing.
wasting our time.
I actually wanted them to get it out in Forest Drive during this weekend's.
Aren't you?
Yeah.
How long do they have to be out for?
48 hours.
48
They have to have
hours.
a continuous 48
Per
hours.
stretch.
Not on a street that's closed.
Not on a street that's closed.
Are they gonna make it for Friday then?
I don't know. They did have trouble with a couple of the units, so it's been. touch and
So
go.
they're aware they'll have it out there before the school gets,
Yes, they are aware of
dismissed.
that. Because it doesn't do us any good if
Yeah.
we don't get it out there with the school.
But we do have a counter that we could put out.
Well, no, they're using our counter that we got from QPAD.
Oh, okay.
So I gave them the information, the computer that was actually given to me with their little lead discs that they have to actually tape down onto the pavement. And so if you see them out there, that's what they're doing. And it's gonna be in the travel lane, so you drive over it. You have to it has a computer chip in it. You have to upload the information, download it. There's a lot of work, a lot of busy work involved. So.
And you believe that this is a reasonable charge for this service?
I do believe that. I mean, it's based on how many times they're going out there, so, they're gonna spend all of that time.
is there a time limit that they process the information so we don't miss our deadline for our funding
Well, there's not really a deadline. The sooner the better, though, and that's what I told them. I'd like to get this
When
in.
does that paperwork have to be put in for our funding that we're applying for?
Well, actually, by this fall. I mean, we got till this fall. So we need to get that, we need to get all the classifying done, or the collecting done, before June 1st is what I want to do. And then I'll have all the data, and then I can get the reports in.
I think we should put a deadline in there just to make damn sure we got our stuff.
Yeah.
What would you like to put for a deadline?
What kind of a deadline do you want?
Well,
So
we
you
could
have
do,
it-
well, the next meeting is June 6th, so let's put it after the next meeting in case there's some hiccup with the equipment, because we have 4 of those lead discs, and, we were planning on putting all 4 out at one time, which would, of course, we could get the.
July
cheaper data.
1st?
Let's say July 1st, that would be plenty, I would think.
Okay.
That's for the report, or?
That
for
we
the
have all
study?
the information
the
from
data.
that study.
And then in this, also in your motion, you'd like to include that it'll be done during school time?
Yes. I'll make that motion, that the things are put out there during school time, and that the information needs to be processed and in our hand by July 1st, 2016, and that the price does not exceed $2,100 to Coleman Engineering for the traffic counts.
Is there support for that?
Support.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes?
Mr. Babalani,
Yes?
Dr. Hayes.
Yes.
Mr. Menegini.
Yes.
Mr. Pop.
Yes.
And that ends our business for this evening. Does anybody in the audience have any questions or comments? If so, please come up to the podium and state your name and address for the record, and limit your time to 5 minutes. If not, Mr. Pop, do you have any comments?
No, I have one. I have, out at Marion Park, we are paying for that pump, right? The electric pump to water the fields, the facility out there, from the golf course?
The golf course, they're taking that over, they're gonna take over that We Energies account.
Okay.
And we're supposed to put in a meter, and we're gonna pay on a proportional basis how much water.
We are gonna put in a meter, and that meter is gonna run about what, 7,000?
I don't have an
8,000?
exact number on that meter.
I thought that was the figure that was tossed at
Is
me,
that the figure that
around
was
6,000, 7,000. That
Okay.
seemed awful high. Maybe we'd just be better off to, instead of metering it, try to figure how much we're actually using,
A percentage.
percentage, versus,
But I do know that we have 0 water pressure out there right now. And, our fields are being burnt up already for the lack of moisture that we have already beginning this spring.
Is there any way of tying that system in with that well site that's by the tennis court? That drilled well that's there? And we could utilize that? It's a drilled well, it's
It is a
right there.
drilled well. I'd have to check back on that. We looked at that, and I'll get back to you on that.
And this is all Wisconsin Electric that we'd be paying this to, the meter?
No. The pump itself, we've always paid We Energies, that's their power, out to our pump off the river. So we were gonna transfer that account over to the golf course. And we were just gonna pay the proportional amount of the bill for what we use.
I like the idea of using the water that's there, and then we can use our own electricity to pump it, because that's in the city, and we should be able to supply our own power there.
I'll check into it.
Where's that well at?
There used to be a house there right by the tennis court,
Next
and
to the
there's a
tennis
drilled well there. You'll see the casing
Okay,
sticking out of the
yes.
ground. If that could be tied into that system, we'd save some money.
Yeah. And it wouldn't be that far
No,
to finish
it's
those
right there.
lines out from there.
Any other questions?
No, I'm good.
Ms. Brew?
The only comment I have tonight is just to thank everybody who's working so hard on the 125. I understand there's not that many volunteers, and it seems like everything's coming together.
I got a couple, Doc.
Yeah.
Trish, I just wanted on record that I did approve the manifest. I did vote yes for the manifest, but I am totally against that Corollo property for $29.16. I don't think we should have had to pay that. I also got a problem with the Fair Board booth. You know, the city of Norway donates their equipment every year during the fair for the demolition derby, and they're gonna charge us $260 for electric booth that's only 13 feet in the exhibition building. I don't think that that's fair at all. And we also are upgrading the system out there that's gonna help them tremendously at our expense. And I think it's foolish that they charge us that $260. I'd like an upgrade on the fairgrounds project, Ray, if you have one. On the swinging over that power, make sure it's done for the 125. Is that coming along nice?
They've been working on it. I don't have a specific update for you, but I can get that.
Okay. I would also like to see, I don't know if we have any summer students that are computer friendly. I suggested this a few years back, that we look at all the cards that are over in the Public Works Department for the water and sewer lines. We're going off of cards that are from the 60s. I think that that stuff needs to be entered into the GIS system. If we have somebody that's capable of doing that in the summer, that'd be a good project for one of the summer students to work on if they're computer friendly. Update on the automated meter installation. That was a priority a while ago. I want to know how the meters are coming.
Well, at this point, because of the work that's out in front of us and the personnel we have, we're doing them on an as-needed basis. So, like for water, if a water meter goes out, we're putting, we're gonna replace it with one of the new meters. Our plan is to, once we get through June, the 125, we got a bunch of activities going on for that. We got some other projects. We're looking at after July 1st that we're gonna start scheduling those out in a more aggressive manner.
Okay. Has anything been done on the mine fencing, clearing?
Yeah, they've been working on that on a regular basis.
They've been working on it?
Yep,
Okay.
they've been picking away at it.
I'd like to say, I've been touring the compost site on a regular basis, a couple times a week. The compost site looks extremely clean. I think we're wasting our money by setting a guy out there. I think if we had cameras there, we would be fine. And I think we should re-look at that situation along with stickers. I've had a lot of negative comments from citizens in town about stickering a vehicle, and I think if the cameras were there, that would control everything. That's all I got.
Lee?
One good comment, the street sweeper did a great job up on Norway Hill. That's all I have.
I have no further questions or comments. Mary? Any questions or comments?
None that I'd like to share.
Mr. Anderson?
That's intriguing. The only thing is that appreciate the kind comment from Candy about the 125. I know the group has been working hard for well over a year. Volunteers, you mentioned volunteers. Contact City Hall. We do need volunteers, and so contact us, and we'll set you up.
Well, I did want to make one comment. I'd to thank Mr. Anderson for the map. At least we can see now, if everybody looked at their map, how much land is involved that we own up on top of Norway Hill. I would assume that these yellow things are,
Those are the contour lines. I gave you one map without, because
yeah,
as you can see, when it's real steep like that,
it turns yellow.
yeah, most of the map is a contour line. But you can see where, when they get close together, that those are the steeper areas. And you can then see also where the actual physical pits are at. So,
Marcia, if you're interested, you should look at this. We should have people evaluate the area. What would be our best use for that area, other than just fencing it off and telling people to keep out? There's, do you know how much land we own up there?
I seen that.
Is it like,
probably about,
here it is.
total,
Here it is.
around, not 200, probably about 120. I'd say about 120.
no other comments? We need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Support.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes?
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Rule?
Yes.